Hello everyone and welcome to round 12 of Austria. Here we are back with Tier 3. Surprised to see me? I'm guessing not. But anyways, uh, I am here joined by Haphazard King and as my co-commentator and of course Sir SSG Assassin as a very lovely streamer. Uh, Unfortunately, he does have to work quite a bit overtime, but hey, that's fine. He loves doing his job. Looking today, Austria. We did see a very good sprint race as well as sprint qualifying in real life. We'll have to see if our drivers can keep up that sort of momentum to keep the people entertained here, Hap.
Yeah, of course. I mean, one of the, you know, I guess simplest tracks. This is the first track that I actually learned racing on. When I jumped into the game itself, it's quite simple, but it's lovely because it has some amazing straights and some amazing corners where you can see some potential dive bombs or some amazing moves come back on. The switchbacks are amazing here, so I'm definitely more excited about what Austria can offer for our Tier 3 boys.
Absolutely, there's quite a bit to offer here, and what we do have to offer to you guys right now is a beautiful video of a track map. Alright then, 4.3 kilometers long, one of the shortest circuits, only 10 turns, but we don't count 3 of them, so realistically only 7 turns, 3 DRS zones, loads of elevation changes, and a very nice place to dive bomb into turn 3. Let's go on to our hot lap.
Alright then, welcome on board a lap of the Red Bull Ring in Austria, brought to you by Sir SST Assassin. On the home straight, DRS wide open, brake at the 100-meter board for turn 1. Make sure to not mount too much of the curbing on the exit as it could unsettle your car. A tricky traction zone as well, so one more thing for the drivers to watch out for. Now approaching turn 3, brake just at the 100-meter board. Make sure to not carry too much speed into the apex as you could drift wide and lose a couple of tenths in lap time. A crucial overtaking zone, this DRS straight. Approaching turn 4, brake just at the 100-meter board. Stick to the apex for as long as you can before carefully flooring the throttle. Stick to the inside of turn 5 to shave off those couple of hundreds of lap time. Turn 6 is a late apex corner. On the exit though, be careful for track limits. Turn 7, the inside curb could spin you out, so be careful to not mount it. Approaching this short straight before the first corner in the circuit, just dab on the brakes at the 50-meter board. Use all of the track on the exit and then another dab on the brakes for turn 10 to complete this lap of the shortest circuit by lap time in the F1 calendar.
See, a very good lap from our very own Sir SSG Assassin at Austria, and I do believe that the guys are riding up, but meanwhile we load in a pretty quick lap that Hap. Do you reckon any of our drivers could get perhaps close to it?
I'm not sure because I haven't watched Tier 3 too much to understand how the field is punched up here. But of course, I think some of our boys in Tier 3 maybe could get closer to that time trial. Of course, this is a time trial setup in Austria, so of course that 104 is not going to be realistic when it comes to the racetrack itself. But maybe I could see someone pushing for 105 today.
Yeah, yeah, you're not wrong there. A 105 could be on the cards. As looking at a weather forecast, dry.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, we all prefer a mixed bag when it comes to weather, but a dry track for Austria, I don't think it's the worst thing. I still think overtaking is possible here, given that let's say quality is a bit mixed up here.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world, but of course it's not. Uh, it doesn't make things too interesting either. As you can see, the driver standings on your right-hand side of the screen, and that's an Alpine, oh sorry, a Haas casually jumping that not an influencer who's actually had a very solid few races. The last few races, he's put in really good and consistent laps, as well as consistent results as a result of his consistent laps. So he is, I'd say, once again the favorite of this race, and you can see the tight battle between Aston Martin and McLaren as we head towards the final legs of this season. Only a few, around 20 or so points separating both the teams here, and of course, both the teams' drivers are present well. Although Red, of course, being a reserve, I don't think his points will be counting. So it comes down to destroyer Drax performances to try and perhaps keep that lead for as long as possible away from the McLaren boys.
I mean, I think the field looks quite set on setting up, setting up the grip on the track itself. Apart from a few medium runners, I think they're just, hoping to save a few of the tires just to keep, things interesting by the end of it. And yeah, what do you think about strategy? Simply, like, is it going to be simple? I think it's going to be an easy one stop. Is that?
It's absolutely an easy one stop, unless of course the safety car does intervene at some point. On the other hand, if you're talking about actual proper race strategy, in consideration of a one stop, then I believe a medium hard could work. But then, of course, let's not forget the classic old hard medium as well, the alternate strategy. Although I wouldn't say it's really the alternate strategy, considering quite a few drivers have, decided to stick on the hard medium. So more like medium hard is the alternate strategy.
True. I mean, we could take a look at Tier 1. Helium always puts out the alternate strategy and nails it. So that's definitely part of it. And I think, considering the track and considering how heavy these cars will be at the start of the track itself, I feel like the alternate strategy is the better one.
Absolutely, and although of course there's always a risk of you having contact, especially in Austria going into turn one car, maybe two cars can fit quite easily. But then when you have cases of where people are trying to fit four cars into such a corner, there's always going to be chaos.
And I mean, speaking about chaos, I mean, what do you think? What do you think about turn one specifically when it comes down to, let's say, the start lights? Do you see, our drivers? Because I remember the first time I raced at Austria, there was chaos everywhere. I mean, even I ended up crashing with someone. Do you think there's going to be a situation where we might see some cars just roll out at the start and completely lose control?
Well, I hope they don't DNF because that's not going to be good. 18 drivers, a very close pack, so we'd obviously love to see each and every single one driving out there so we can see a very nice battle throughout the field, of course. But chances of an incident happening going to turn one, lap one is on the higher levels of track, obviously.
And what about this field right now? Simply, what do you think? Who's the best contender for pole right now?
As I said earlier, not an influencer is my bet. He's had very solid races, very solid performances in the last few races, and that's really helped McLaren get closer and closer to Aston Martin. And just as I say that's I believe an AlphaTauri spinning out. I'm not sure who it was. Could be Mr. Raut because he's the only AlphaTauri. But yeah, influencer and Archit both. Although influencer has of course, I don't really want to say it that way, but I don't really have other words for it. But yeah, he's kind of outclassed the rest of the field here in the last few races, and he's truly shown what he's capable of, what his potential is, and he's actually matched as well as beat people's expectations of him. Talking about the Aston Martins as well as the McLaren, here we have Slowy Red in the other Aston Martin, a reserve driver who's also shown quite a bit of potential himself. He's coming across the line to finish his banker lap for a solid P3. Destroyer Drac is in P2, so quite a bit of pressure gets put onto Archit here to try and, although of course let's not just base it off of the banker laps, although Archit will have to do a lot more in this qualifying. To make sure he goes up, and that is Mohan almost trying to imitate Sergio Perez yesterday through his qualifying lap, and he goes up into P9.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, keep it within the white lines, boys. I mean, it's easier, it's easier said than done. But again, qualifying is more about pushing to the limits, but then staying within the limits as well. And yeah, let's see which driver can push to the maximum. I mean, your contender for pole looks to be on provisional pole, not influencer, or not an influencer, is definitely at 105 to 93. I think considering how quick he is, we might see him push for a 140, and we see contender make spin. I think he just lost his lost his rears coming out of that corner. It's a quite a tricky corner when you're maintaining traction, and considering how heavy these cars are, towards the back of it, you can definitely see a pendulum swing at that corner specifically. What do you think about that, Simple?
Yeah, it's very easy to lose the rear end. As simple as this track is, remember, very hard to master, especially that turn 3 exit. You know, it looks quite simple and straightforward until you actually. Oh, okay.
Oh, wow! What happened
Why
here?
are cars just
What?
stuck in the pit lane? Why are cars just stuck in the pit lane?
Okay, is this gonna be a disqualification for? Okay, that's weird.
Okay, can we keep looking in the pits? That's Lean Sipper's car who is stuck. That's
What?
blocking everyone. All that
Wait,
for
was
the
that because of
Mercedes to
Mercedes?
come out. Did they? Oh my god! So a driver. Wait. Oh my god. Okay, hold on. So you're telling me Billy Butcher, who's also in a Mercedes, got disqualified because his teammate, who's also in a Mercedes, needed to come out of the pits, held up the whole pit lane, and now
Yeah, I think that's
Mercedes is at a
what happened.
disadvantage.
Oh, gee, yeah. Is that gonna warrant for a restart for quali? Not sure.
Apparently, it's working fine now, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
so. For one car to come out, around 4 or 5 cars got held there. One even got disqualified for blocking the pit lane. So, yeah,
Regardless, let's move on. Like I said, not an influencer. Definitely, I think he could hit a 104. I think it's quite within his grasp. I think, considering track evolution will be a big part of it. And as we're on board Destroyer track, again another fantastic racer in Tier 3, definitely inching closer towards pole. So I think towards the end of this lap, you'll see him a few tenths, a few thousand seconds away from getting pole. So you can see he's increasing his lap time. He's definitely quicker than not an influencer at this stage of the race, but it's the last sector which he has to nail. Has to hit the race mix perfectly well. Keeps it within the white lines, gets the corner, maximizes the exit, and will he get pole itself? And it is Destroyer back on pole for now. It's provisional.
And look at that gap, though. It's just 100 separating the McLaren and the Aston Martin. Quite a, quite a fast and quick lap set by Destroyer back there. Although I don't think it will stand for long because one, we still have 8 minutes left in the quali, and two, we might have a lobby restart coming because of that incident.
Yeesh.
Yeah, it's
Well, definitely keep us updated on the lobby restart, Dan. If that happens, we'd love to know, because again, it's quite sad for Billy Butcher that glitch ended up destroying his qualifying. But yeah, keep us updated on that as we move on to Swagger Turbo. Again, Swagger definitely is closer, and I love the gap between each and every driver here, because
he's
everyone up till. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was sorry to cut you off, but then yeah, on turn 6 exit, he went off the track and validated his lap. And it looks like drivers are leaving the session. Might be confirmed lobby restart. I'm not sure. Discord streamer mode not really helping.
Yeah, it's quite a shame that we'll have to restart this, because those were two banger laps for both of our contenders. And yeah, it's just. Do you think, Dan, if they restarted, will they go for like a one lap shootout? Would that be on the cards?
Very unlikely, because we've not gone too deep into quali, considering it's only we've barely 10 minutes into the shot quali, as Ritesh invalidates in the penultimate corner. And yeah, he was up by a few tenths maybe on his earlier time. Seeing 2 green sectors there on the telemetry. But yeah, I don't think it warrants a one-shot quali. I mean, that's not up to me to decide, however. But if I were in their shoes, that's what I would do. Excuse me for that.
Yeah, definitely. SSJ, you're probably one of our best racers here in terms of pace and quality format as such. I mean, we've seen you get close to pole in Tier 1 itself. So I think
There's one more disqualification. What's happened here? Oh,
What's
what
happening?
is this? I think
What
he's
is?
spun out in
Oh
the
no!
pit exit.
I
And
think he spun himself.
okay, that
Wow.
probably is completely on the driver. Usually that happened before in a practice session in a social race.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a shame for the McLaren itself. I'm not sure what happened there, but if he kept it, if he kept his car out of the pit lane itself, even if he spun there, he should have kept his car out of out of the way of the pits, just to make sure he wasn't disqualified. But that's just a rough mistake for him. And yeah, of course, if you make a mistake, you're gonna have to pay, unfortunately. As we're on board Slower Red, who had a fastest middle sector,
Yeah.
which looks quite spicy now because he's approaching the last few corners here. That corner exit doesn't look perfectly well connected. I think he didn't even touch the apex. I think this is gonna be for P2, P3. Oh,
P3.
yep, P3, 105.
Well,
That's
as
definitely a good lap, a banger lap.
yeah, I mean, he surely had 2 or 3 more tenths left in it if he had not if he had taken the last 2 sectors properly. Yeah, could have been a pole lap, a provisional pole lap at least. But yeah, 5 minutes left. He's got plenty of time to improve.
Yeah, I think they're gonna stick to this quali session for the time being. It's quite unfortunate, but I feel like everyone is now coming out of the pits to give their best, and I think this is it for them. And as of this moment, it looks like it's Destroyer, Track, and not an influencer again, not an influencer entering the pits. Um, those tires don't feel like they're used. I mean, why is he entering the pits? Considering I know he had a pretty rough lap, but it's a waste of a brand new set of tires entirely.
Well, not it's not. I mean, these extra softs might be needed in a situation where a safety car comes out, but then the softs really aren't that helpful considering the amount of tire wear they go through in this game, and
True, it
it's
won't
only
factor
effective.
in strategy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably only effective when you have huge gap uh, behind you during the last few laps of the race and a safety car comes out. Um, apart from that, I don't really. I mean, I can't think of a very situation like such an obvious situation where softs are actually used in the race. I mean, of course, when you don't have
Then
any tires left, any other tires left, you don't have a choice. Apart from that, as
yeah, but I think our drivers won't be in a situation where they won't have any tires left. I think that's the first thing you have to sort of make sure you maintain is your strategy. Hopefully, again, it depends on incidents, but hopefully there won't be any need for any softs in the race itself. And what do you think about the rest of the field? I think the gap is brilliant. Coming up to P12, the gap is just 8/10 of a second. That's amazing. The amount of competitiveness in this quali is quite sensational.
well, yeah, I have to agree with you on that. It's also it's probably because of the drivers being very familiar with Austria. It's one of the most, if not the most popular track throughout any F1 game. If you even see the time trial leaderboards, you have the most number of players setting their laps on this circuit when compared to other circuits. You've got like nearly 150,000 players, and if you compare it to other tracks like I don't know, Abu Dhabi or something, you'll have probably 100k players. So yeah, it's one of the most favored tracks for any driver in this game.
Yeah, I think it's favored because it's quite simple in its layout, but also it needs you to push yourself to the limit. And considering how easy it is to get an invalidation because of track limits, it's also a pretty good challenge for our players as well. So it gives them the rush of getting that you know lap in without spoiling your entire
It's also
stint.
it's also easy to make few. I mean, it's a very overtake prone kind of track because you've got 3 DRS zones, one in the like 3 subsequent DRS zones that you've got one right after the other. So yeah, it makes for a lot of overtaking and heartbreaking zones as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all eyes right now are on not an influencer because we were all waiting for that one lap. Again, he's gonna have this one shot to put in a banger lap, get that pole position taken from destroyer track, and it will be some good news for finally for some McLaren fans. Again, McLaren not having the best season, but somehow Lando Norris is able to put up some magical performances in that McLaren himself. Luckily, not an influencer. Definitely looks like he's a contender for pole today. As you can see, he is coming up the end of the first sector itself. He just needs to make sure he maintains proper entry into the corner itself, gets proper exit out of it, gets on the throttle very quick as well. And let's see if he can make it. I mean, he's got a personal best on the first sector, which is good considering that Destroyer Track didn't have a good first sector. I think that's where he'll nail it. And let's see if he can get past Sector 2 itself without any track invalidation. Getting very close to the white lines itself. Okay, that's another faster sector. Ooh, I think this is definitely going to be a pretty quick lap itself. I think the last few corners is where Destroyer Track definitely faced the most problems while setting it. And can he get provisional pole for the time being? And it is not an influencer on pole position with a 104. I believe that's
I'm sorry
92.
to interrupt you guys. Can you
105.
quickly go to the pits? What's happening in the pits?
With who exactly?
Apparently, there's a few drivers stuck in the pits. Swagger Turbo, both the Red Bulls.
Got Slowy Red. Those two have retired from the session. Swagger Turbo has retired from the session. Can't go on board him, unfortunately. Let me see if I can find any other driver. Yep, sorry, can't, not able to go on board anyone.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
Yeah, regardless, simply, what do you think about that quali session? It's almost over at this stage. I think not an influencer definitely got pole by not that far from margin, but definitely pretty great pole position from non-influencer. What do you think about that?
I mean, I didn't see most of it, of course, because I had to deal with the issues. But hey, at least my prediction came right. Not an influencer is on pole. So yeah, that's one positive out of it.
Any news about a potential lobby restart?
Apparently there will be one for the race only.
But the qualifying grid will be set as per the qualifying session we had right now.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
It'll be too late for them to
Yeah.
restart. With
Considering everyone's completed their laps, anyways. Yeah.
exactly, and it'll be way too delayed for us to go through those whole 18 minutes again.
Yeah, and definitely we see the last few drivers come in. Again, it's not an influencer on pole, followed by Destroyer Track in P2, followed by Slowy Red in P3. Definitely a good session for the Aston Martin in terms of qualifying. Whereas the McLaren, unfortunately, the other one is in P19 at this stage because of that disqualification.
Yep, and we have confirmation we will be restarting for the race, obviously, as mentioned earlier. But this is a
Is this, I mean, please clarify if we'll be restarting the quali as well, or
no, it's just the race. It'll be again, as I said, it'll be too late to restart with the qualifying. It's already quite late in the night. We are already running quite delayed thanks to
But
real life qualifying.
yeah, but then my question is, why are we restarting the lobby for the race when the race will still have the same grid spot as this one?
Well, because clearly saying that the qualifying is really glitched. Hopefully, at least the race won't be. The drivers are more than capable enough to do comeback drives for each and every single one of them. And if anything, it just shows us what the drivers can actually achieve. Unfortunately, the game's logic is really stupid and it is really frustrating. I do want to say a lot more things, but then I can't because then the stream will be demonetized. But yeah, it's just unfortunate.
Okay, that was definitely an amazing rant by Simply Whitey. Moving on, let's wait for that restart here. So, yeah, are you sure Simply we're doing a restart because it looks like we're still waiting for players? Is the lobby continuing?
The lobby is broken, so pretty sure it's not.
Yeah. Well, regardless, while we have the time, um, let's discuss maybe a few of our um, best Australian GPs that we have in the past few years. I think one that comes to my mind, I think, was probably in 2016, if I'm not wrong, or 2015, where it was a fight for the lead between Hamilton and Rosberg, I believe.
Oh yeah, it. Yeah, I mean, any fight between Hamilton and Rosberg, regardless of track, has been amazing to watch. Which also reminds me of Spain. Both of them hit each other and crashed out. That was really fun to see. Uh, we also saw a bit of battle between the teammates uh, today as well in real life qualifying. So luckily they didn't do a Hamilton and Rosberg, but yeah, it was still extremely close to one another.
Yeah, I feel out of loop because I haven't watched qualifying yet, but I'll be watching that as soon as I
Oh well,
get
I
this.
guess I just spoiled quite a few things for you.
That's fine. Moving on. I mean, these are, one of our rare few 2021 cars, I believe. Yeah, damn, those cars were definitely fun to drive, along with the 2020 cars itself. The
Absolutely. 2021 game really special to me because I did win my one and only so far WDC on it. But yeah, hopefully next game because it's much better than 22 next game.
Still even buggier though.
I mean, it's EA,
Hey,
so
we don't talk about that. We're talking about the handling and the drivability of the cars right now, not the overall game.
are we gonna talk about the fact that the game hasn't changed too much apart from a story mode being added into it?
The handling is much better.
I mean, considering the handling on 2022, anything would be better, I believe. These cars are just way too heavy, I think, and that's where the sort of pain comes out from. Regardless,
Yep.
let's see what 2023 brings, and if it gets better racing, that'll be fun. I wonder how the cars would react under, split stream, and whether we still get close racing, because I think the modern cars or the actual IRL cars have had a bit of a reverse effect when it comes to dirty air for this season specifically.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. In the meanwhile, let's go on a quick little break while we do restart.
Right. All right, and we're back finally. And that was a short break. We just had some technical issues that we had to fix up, and the lobbies. Well, we're getting it restarted right now. And again, Simply Watching will soon be joining us as well.
I'm here.
Perfect. Well, yeah, simply. So yeah, that's it. The lobby is starting here. We're just waiting for the green lights. The quality has been set as per the session that we just had, so the drivers will still retain their grid positions. It's
Yep.
just that we wanted to restart the lobby just to fix out any other bugs or issues that we might find.
Absolutely, and in that restart, let's just hope that nothing else breaks, because if it does, then yeah, well, a lot of people are going to be pissed off.
Yeah, and let's keep expectations at bay then for that. Regardless, we're just waiting for the file light. Simply, why don't you take over for the restart?
Uh,
And
is it starting?
No, this is just a session timer bug.
Oh, session timer. Okay, right. Okay, cool.
Another one of
Okay,
the
then we do
annoying
have a bit
bugs we
of
have.
time left then on our hands.
that's good.
Well, that was an interesting qualifying from what I've heard from you guys. So, what are your expectations? I mean, I'd still say not an influencer for the win, but I also will say an unexpected podium for, let's see, Archit. Unexpected in the sense not because he's slow or anything, but rather because he unfortunately got disqualified in the qualifying. So he's starting P17, which is second last in this race. So I'd say he ends up on the podium.
I won't make any guesses at this stage, but I feel like maybe Destroyer Track has a bit more coming down towards turn one. I think he's just going to send a lunge to get that position, and
Yep.
we might see him retain that P1 for the next few laps. But in the long run, maybe yeah, non-influencer, I could see him back the win as well. Regardless, we'll see what these drivers have to offer. Let's also see what kind of strategy they're on later on as well. We will definitely take a look at that because I believe most of them would love to go on the hard. I wonder, would there be a two-stop by any chance? Maybe medium, soft, considering we're currently doing a lobby restart.
Medium, medium
Maybe.
soft. That's
Yeah,
I'd say
that's
that's
certainly.
really strange. I mean, if you can pull it off, then fair play to you. But I would say it's really not worth to pull it off. It just doesn't make sense to do so,
Too
because
risky.
of course, exactly, too risky. You'll be putting yourself on the back foot, and it'll rely a little too much on you actually uh, performing well. Which of course, when you don't know what's gonna happen in your future, you can't really predict.
Yeah, definitely. Regardless, safety cars. I think I'm gonna predict at least one safety car in this race itself. Maybe towards the start more than towards the end of it. I think
Yeah.
drivers at the start are very prone to making mistakes because being extremely close to another driver
Hmm.
sort of has you going for a move that maybe you should not, and I think some drivers could make that mistake. But hopefully everything stays clean. Let's see what our drivers can do here though. Simply over to you.
All right, then. A very good diplomatic answer from Haphazard King, and the three lights are also quite diplomatic as they're about to turn into five. And quite a few drivers on hards, a lot more on mediums, and Archit gets a drive-through penalty there. The lights do eventually go out. Not an influencer after a very, very good start here, slowly following very, very closely to his teammate Destroyer Track. Both of them covering both the lines, the inside and the outside. Both of them have gone off. That's an Alpine gone off out in turn two. Turn one, which I believe is Mink, because he has lost a few positions here. They're going three wide in the back between Parthajan and Satvik. There's an Alfa Romeo of Ritesh getting involved as well. Unfortunately, that's a Red Bull who spun out. It seems to
Yeah,
be Mohan, because Parth seems to be going quite well, trailing quite closely behind to Vinay. Ritesh just trying to defend off from E-Dog, as well as a massive chain of Khazar behind him, and the Alpine as well as the Haas just having a
oh,
bit of
that's another
collision
car
there.
gone.
That's Archit that's gone into the wall, and he has damage there. His wings completely gone by the looks of it, and that is not to a good start, and he has rage quit.
I mean that's prediction gone there. Let's move on though. I mean I think the aspect I think I remember seeing Mohan getting a bit of contact with the Aston Martin of destroyer track and then losing it by maybe contact from the driver behind itself. Regardless, that's quite a very messy start for destroyer track, and he's gonna have to work his way back up to P2 against his own teammate, which is gonna be not that easy. And as we're on board Vinay and Swagger Turbo, as of course there are a lot of drivers I can see in the mediums, but most of the front runners have opted for the hards as well, and I think it's going to be difficult for them, at least for the next few laps, to keep it on the track, at least until they get the temperatures in, at least until they start to get the grips in. As we see one of the Williamses go, and we're right now seeing Access Scoop going for a move on an AI car itself. It's a Red Bull of Parthian, so the Red Bulls are definitely not having a good time at all, simply.
Absolutely not. They are struggling here, and that is, of course, not a good look on them. And of course, both the Red Bulls throughout the season haven't had the best of lucks. Not Lux. That's a wrong reference here. But anyways, they haven't had the best of luck throughout the season, and clearly it's not helping him here at the dying stages of this season at all. As Parthian, of course, has disconnected. He's joined back, but Lean Sipper with his DRS, he's going to be joining that P4 position. They're taking it away from Uday in a very decent move, using with the help of the DRS on the outside as well. And we can see Uday going down to first gear. That's how unoptimal the inside line is, going down 3. So that just goes to show you that that corner, really not enough space for two people. Billy Butcher and Ace Scoop with the DRS. Billy Butcher with the inside line. Still are going side by side. Billy Butcher getting quite close to Ace Scoop, but still quite enough space between the two of them. And Ace Scoop does manage to get past Billy Butcher.
Definitely was an amazing move from Ace Scoop. As we see another car go on. Is that they're losing too many positions right now. Falls down to P8, losing positions to the Merc as well. Swagger Turbo, I think those hards are not working for him at all. And we see there going very slow. He has damage. Does he have damage? Let's see.
I have a feeling he does.
Wonder what happened there. Regardless, Ritesh going for a move on the inside. Gets the move done by turn 1 itself. But now, will Sandeep Mardu have a DRS? He does. And he's going to go fight it out again against Ritesh as they move on down towards turn 2 as well. Again, Sandeep has the outside line, but Ritesh has the inside line, fighting it throughout. There's contact between the two drivers, but Ritesh retains the position itself. That was very close for these two drivers.
Extremely close, but then both of them keeping it very, very clean. And of course, that's a very brave dive bomb from Swagger Turbo. And I don't know what happened was that. But yeah, a very, very brave send, a very brave dive bomb from Swagger Turbo, who's actually managed to make it eventually stick. So that's one position up for him, getting past Sandeep Marud. I'm pretty sure he did kind of catch him off guard there, which has kind of helped him. And of course, the mediums, how can we forget the mediums? They're going to be in prime for at least until lap 11, lap 12. So Swagger Turbo looking good in terms of pace so far. That's a Lean Sipper in the Williams who spun out. Luckily, his car's ghosted. But of course, his real life
that's Satvik gone as well.
And that's oh my god. Okay, well, both of them. I think Satvik just got caught off guard because of that spin from Lean Sipper, and he's made a mistake as well, which makes sense as to why it happens. But yeah, it's just unfortunate for him. Billy Butcher now still trying to make a move on Ace Scoop. Billy Butcher coming up quite a few places already, considering he did disqualify in the race. There's yellow flags in Sector 1, which I think is again for Lean Sipper. His tires fairly too hot for his car to handle.
Yeah, I mean, one more important thing we need to note: Access Group has a 3-second time penalty as well, so that's gonna, definitely gonna cause a hamper on his race. As we see Billy Butcher go for a move on the inside, a brilliant move. That's a safety car who's got an issue here. Let's see. Oh, that's.
Will he have to give the position back?
Is that the Haas?
Not sure when the safety car came out. Actually, I can't really tell you.
Let's see. Can we go on to one of the Haas's maybe, just to see if there's any damage out there?
I think one of the Haas's is still disconnected. I did see a disconnected car somewhere. Maybe not one of the Haas's, perhaps. No, both the Haas's are fine. Yep.
It's quite a weird safety car, but this does help Uday, and well, it doesn't help Arshad, but it definitely helps Uday at this stage. I wonder if Arshad can come back as well.
Yeah, well, Archit is 45 seconds behind Uday, and considering how small this track is, that's really not good. That's actually a lot of time to catch up. Even under a safety car, that's Satvik who's gone into the pits and he's retired. I think he's just done with tonight. I mean, it makes sense as to why, but yeah, really frustrating for quite a few drivers here.
Yeah, I still think he should have, still sat through the race. Anything can happen, and just early with the safety car this early, I mean, things could have definitely panned out for these drivers. Something could have
Yep,
popped up there. What's happening
absolutely.
with the McLaren? It's ghosted. Yeah, it's lapped, I guess. Yeah.
And he's unlapping himself? The game's letting him do that?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the game does anymore. Regarding this, I think the McLaren is lapped by not an influencer. That's
Archit
why he's
is
just
lapped.
between. Yeah, Archie definitely. And that's why he's right between not an influencer and Slowy, which is not good for Slowy because that gap is going to kill his chance at getting P2 or P1 more importantly. And considering, is this good for the medium runners or is this good for the hard runners? Simply, what do you think?
Archit's definitely horrible for Archit because he's lapped. Under the safety car, he's unlapped himself to the Slowy red, but his teammate he can't unlap himself for him. Was it perhaps a McLaren strategy? Because
No, not at
Archit,
all.
I mean,
I'm
he's not going to be
sorry.
a hindrance in terms of physically being there, but he will be a hindrance in the sense of giving dirty air to other people.
Are you sure Archie is still in the game? I thought he rage quitted.
I mean, he's lapped, so we can't really tell.
It doesn't look like he's in the game. Like, look at how his car is operating. It's not even
Oh,
heating up
he's
the
he's
car.
out of the game. So I guess that rage quit is actually a rage quit.
I mean, fair enough.
It
Yeah,
makes sense.
regardless.
Really frustrating. I get him.
I mean, I think considering the alternate strategy is still a better option in this scenario, even with the safety car coming in. Of course, those mediums will go on for long, but it's more important that the hard stay safe. I think right now, non-influencer has a very good opportunity of making a bigger gap where he's not under DRS threat from slow red, and that's something
Yeah,
he's gonna have to maximize on.
absolutely. And to answer your question, I'd say right now the medium runners are actually the hard runners. Actually, the ones who haven't pit are still sorted. That's what I want to say because they have a lot less wear. I mean, yeah, new tires lesser, a lot lesser wear, but still lost out on positions. And not an influencer restarts this race then as the leader of this race, and he's actually pulled it off quite well because Ritesh is now trying to battle with Slowy Red. Ritesh taking P2 away from Slowy Red. Ritesh, of course, being helped with those mediums, but this is a good look for him. He just has to tuck in behind. I was about to say the slipstream, but he's too far away from the slipstream. That's how good Influencer is driving right now. He's pulled away a second already. That is Swagger
Oh,
Turbo going up into P3. Sandeep Maridu trying to take that position away from Slowy Red as well. Slowy Red really has been caught off guard. I think his tires are too cold on this restart.
yeah, definitely. I think that's one thing he's suffered drastically from. He's completely outshined by the other drivers itself. Even Sandeep Marudu, who is on the hard tires, the same as Slowy Red, is clearly in a better position and in better race pace at this stage. I think that restart has completely boggled the driver, and he needs to get back into the game, into the head, into his proper headspace. And as we see, Mr. Rout ghosting because I
Oh,
think he's
that's Billy
left.
Butcher.
That's a spin. That's a spin for the Mercedes. That's just unfortunate for him. And yeah, as you see him dropping down a lot of positions, we see Lean Slapper get P13 as well. An easy move. As we're on board, ED, is that ED,
E-Dog,
E-Dog?
E-Dog, E-Dog, ED. Yeah, that's E-Dog in the Williams there trying to defend away from Slowy Red, actually overtaking Slowy Red, and his next goal perhaps would be to close in onto Sandeep Marido in the Ferrari.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's quite a swapper for the Williams, considering Lean Sleeper was in this position a few laps ago and now has fallen back. And yeah, the other Williams that are carrying the team is it's quite Oh, and we see the move. We see Destroyer
Braves
Track
them.
taking back the position from Vinay. An amazing move down. But I think Vinay's still gonna fight it. He's gonna try to go for a move. Oh, right. Oh, there's contact.
Oh!
It's heavy contact from Vinay. I think he's lost a. Has he lost an? Oh, it looks like it's still there. I mean, there has to be some damage there, right? Simply.
Yeah, for Winner for sure. Luckily, we're not running on sim damage, so Destroyer Track gets away without a puncher here. But yeah, Vinay definitely. If it's not major, then it's still minor, but damage is
Minor.
certain for Vinay.
Yeah, I mean, even minor damage on this track is gonna get you a lot of penalties, and it's gonna be difficult for Winner to manage. As Destroyer Track is now right behind his teammate on the mediums, so Destroyer definitely getting closer to his teammate, making those moves as we're on board E-Dog, who's very close to Sandeep Marudu. And again, these hard tires, although they might be better in the long run, they're getting eaten up by the medium runners at this stage.
Yeah, the hard definitely struggling right now against the mediums, but the mediums will start to fall off quite soon. Not this lap, but maybe in the next 3 or 4 laps they will definitely fall off, and then of course that is where the hards really show their pace and really come out forward in terms of course having much lesser wear. So that is where the hard guys are going to shine. So for now, all they have to do is minimize the damage. Try and keep as many positions as possible, especially Sandeep, because he is sat in P4. He's being challenged by E-Dog, but as long as he can just do whatever he can to get within the DRS of Swagger Top, as long as he has that DRS, he will still be safe to some extent from E-Dog. And just as I see that Sandeep Parrido picks up a 3-second time penalty, although by the looks of it, E-Dog is completely out of the ERS
As we see
here.
slowly Red, fighting for the position itself. He was trying to eye for a move on the inside.
Oh
Oh, E-Dog
no,
goes
that's
for a
that's a
lunge,
move.
pushes pushes the Ferrari out of the track and loses the position against the Aston Martin. As the Aston Martin goes closer and closer to the Ferrari, will he go for a move on the inside down towards the turn? No, he picks the move on the outside, tries to go for a switchback. Maybe he tries to get a better exit. And as we see contact between the Aston Martin of Destroyer Track and E-Dog losing several positions at the same time.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. Ace Scoop also spinning out there, making a mistake, and yeah, that's gonna cost them quite a bit. Still within the points, but just barely.
I mean, the amount of contact that between the drivers is getting very, very rough out there for the time being. Yeah, I mean, people are going for the lunge here.
Oh, that's a
My
very
God, that was
weird place
lucky.
to spin. I think Ritesh has spun. I think Ritesh has spun. Or never mind, he just got overtaken by Swagger Turbo. Never mind, false alarm. But yeah, Slowy Red being overtaken by shit. Sandeep Marido being overtaken by Slowy Red. Destroyer Drac also overtaking them, and Sandeep Marido tapping the rear of one of the Aston Martins. And if anything, that's given them a beautiful exit out of there, whereas Sandeep actually got bottled because of that tap. And that's really not helped his race out here because he also has a 3-second penalty on top of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether there's a braking issue with the car at all, but there's a lot of contact between the front wing of the tire, the front wing of the car, and the rear, the rear end of the car. So, and we see that. Is he gone? Is Slowy Red gone?
Yeah, that's certainly a very weird place to spin out. A lot of these drivers spinning out in extremely weird
Has
places.
wing
So
damage.
wing damage, maybe not.
Oh yeah, I think it looks like a bit of wing damage there. He was able to save it though. I mean, considering how he went off, I thought he was definitely gonna die for sure. But yeah, luckily he's still in the race and he's not coming into the pitch, which is better news, even though his ego might be bruised. And as we're on board, Ritesh, who eyes for a move on the inside, but then decides to, think better of it, knowing there's another DRS zone here for the Alfa Romeo, and the Alfa Romeo inches closer to the Mercedes of Swagger Turbo. But I think he's a bit too far back right now to go for a lunge or any move. Ritesh, definitely, one of our veteran drivers, knowing when to go for a move and when to stay behind itself. And as we're on board, Mohan, who's just 6 tenths. I mean, the drivers are very close to each other. There are a lot of mistakes happening, but then there are a lot of drivers that are keeping it close or are keeping it within within the gaps of each other, and there's a lot of pace here on this track itself.
Yep. Again, small track, lots of places to make mistakes, lots of places to also gain time. Not really a lot of places, so that just adds a bit of a challenge for these drivers. But you get the point. It's still a challenging track at the end of the day. As Mohan following really close to Sandeep. Sandeep really seems to be struggling. And he picks up
And gets
another
another
3-second time penalty here as Mohan as well, with the help of the DRS around the outside, casually flies past Sandeep. Next up will be Parth, who is just about 2.5 seconds behind Sandeep. So maybe, oh, look at Sandeep's DRS. He's used pretty much none of it. I guess that could
access.
explain why he does have a bit of a lack of pace as Vinay gets really close to Billy Butch's rear end. And now he does pass him as well and shows his rear end to Billy Butcher as makes the move far before going to turn 4 as well.
Yeah, that's quite too many rear ends being used in one sentence, I believe. But as we see, Axis Cube losing some of those positions as well. I think he's definitely, is he ghosted? No, but there's definitely some contact between Mink and Axis Cube as they're both fighting towards these corners. Mink has to reside his, or rather, Mink has to sort of fall back a bit just to maintain that position and avoid further contact with the Haas itself.
Absolutely. Contended Mink almost turned into contacted Mink right there. Twice almost, as we saw him getting really close to Ace Scoop while he was going into the pits. And Billy Butcher taking that position back away from Vinay. But is it really a good place to take that position away? Because now Vinay has the DRS on this much, much longer straight. And he's just going to fly by. Yes, he does.
Yeah, but don't forget Slowy Red, who's also in this fight. It's a three-way fight right now as both of these drivers fight. This gives the Aston Martin a good run, and I think the Mercedes is in a bit of trouble right now as Slowy Red is definitely gone side by side. He's gotten the move done on the outside itself, but the Mercedes definitely going to fight back. He's got the inside line, pushes and defends the corner. He's definitely got it settled there. As we see another Aston Martin fighting with the Alfa Romeo goes off the track. There is severe contact between these drivers. They're definitely banging wheels throughout half of these corners as they go side by side. We can see the desperation in front of Destroyer Track as he wants that position right now.
Yeah, Destroyer, well, he is under a bit of pressure now because remember, the championship standings at the end of the day does help that Arshit isn't here to score points. But yeah, does not help the fact that he's at least not P2, so he can keep that lead somehow more and more, because right now he is losing out on quite a bit.
Oh, that was okay. I was about to say that was a good move, but then no, not really. He went a bit too deep into that corner and lost 2 positions there. As Destroyer Track has to retain P6. Yikes, that was not a great one, and a smart move from Ritesh. As we see, Slowy Red, the Aston Martin fight against the Alpine of Vinay and get the position. It's just a lot of back and forth between these drivers. Half of them are able to get the overtakes done before turns, turns I believe 5 and 6, and by the time they return 1 and 2, they're close to each other again. It's getting very close between the midfield. As we see Swagger Turbo and Ritesh pit, and they're going to be the first of the field to go on to the hards as well, and amongst the proper strategy being followed here. And yep, Vinay definitely getting close to Billy Butcher, and this is going to be very important to stop all these drivers. They need to nail it. As we see Mohan go for a move on Sandeep, those hard tires still look like they haven't switched on properly yet, as Sandeep is definitely struggling against Mohan, who's on fresher sets of mediums. And we see Slowy Red again fighting with Swagger Turbo around the outside, gets the move done, has the position before the end of the turn itself. Pretty easy move for the Aston Martin, as we see the Mercedes definitely closing in on the Aston as well. It's an Aston versus Mercedes. Is this 2023? Who knows?
Yep,
Regardless.
sorry about that brief.
No.
Blank patch. Simply Whitey has headed out for a bit, so I will be filling in filling in for him. As we can see here, Parthijan, the last of the medium runners, one of the last of the medium runners, pitting for a fresh set of HUDs. Ideal pit window. We're halfway into the race, exactly the halfway point actually. Maybe ideal. Maybe he's carried those mediums around for too long, a bit longer, and lost out on quite a bit of lap time as Mohan MR9 makes for a move down the inside of Sandeep Murray to turn 4. It's a very popular overtaking zone.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, I have to agree with you, SSJ. I mean, that turn is definitely something that the guys love. I think it's mainly because of the two DRS zones. Even if someone overtakes you down towards turn 2, it's giving you a good enough run to get the move done down towards the final corners, as such. So yeah, of that zone. And as we see Sandeep Maridu again, the hard tires don't like this. Doesn't seem to be the quicker compound this race at all. I think the mediums are clearly outshine those hards today, and I think that's where Sandeep is definitely struggling.
But Sandeep will have to pit sometime soon now. 18 laps on those tires. I mean, so does Influencer, because 17 to 18 laps on those hards is a little bit too much. As Sandeep and Mohan still going side by side. I'm not sure Sandeep's picked up another 3-second time penalty. Hopefully not, because this is definitely not going to help him out here getting passed by Mohan. Although of course, Mohan it does have much fresher tires compared to Sandeep. Swagger Turbo making a move on Slowy Red, and Slowy Red having a very slow exit out of turn 3. But yeah, we could see why he had his ERS turned on, so he had no grip while being in a lower gear, especially on this game. Not a good recipe for a good exit.
Definitely, I mean, I think a lot of drivers are facing a lot of issues and retraction, but we see Bully Butcher definitely try for a move on the inside against the Haas. I think he gets the move done, but it's getting very close as he still got DRS there, as Mink gets a 3-second penalty, and now Billy Butcher is all over the back of Lean Sniper, as Lean Sniper is a ghosted at the moment. I wonder if that's just connectivity issues or if that's it's AI, but Billy Butcher definitely not getting the best outcome out of that exchange. As not an influencer pits for those hard tires, finally those mediums are off, and now it's up to not an influencer to just maximize on the gap that he's built up and get as much pace as we can out of that hard tires. As all eyes now go on to Sandeep Maridu, which I believe is the best contender for the win, considering he's one of the few hard runners out there on towards the top itself. So we'll definitely see something from him towards the end of it.
I mean, if a safety car comes out, he's kind of sorted, because remember, 6 seconds worth of penalties. So if a safety car does come out, it will be a blessing and a curse. A blessing, obviously, because then he can have a free pit stop onto the mediums, and they'll definitely go to the end without dropping off too much. Whereas, of course, it's going to be a curse, because everyone else is going to be within that 6-second gap of his. So he will have to do a lot more work to pull that 6 seconds off right now, which he currently is doing quite well from his teammate Uday, who's also he's fit, but he definitely needs to pit again.
As we see again, Billy Butcher versus Axel Scoop, and Billy Butcher gets the best from that exchange, gets a move done on the inside. Quite a beautiful move there. I don't think I've seen a move on the inside towards those sets of corners there, as Axel Scoop has to has to keep his car closer to Billy Butcher. Again, he's going to get his shot if he keeps himself within 1 second. He's going to have a DRS down towards turn 1 and down towards turn 3 as well. So it's all up to Axel Scoop to keep his position, as we see Vinay struggling to keep his car behind Axel Scoop. Again, Axel Scoop getting that DRS from Billy Butcher to keep his position. This is getting very close for the Mercedes. I think the Mercedes is going to have issues down towards turn 4, as he'll see 2 cars, not one, yes, but 2 cars right behind him. The Haas of Axel Scoop and the Alpine of Vinay. And let's see if the Haas is close enough to get a move done. I think it's just a bit too far back there. And the Mercedes definitely retains the position just for this lap.
He will have to, and that's Swagger, of course, going up a few positions. But yeah, it did take long enough for these guys to pit. Sandeep definitely pulling out one of the longest stints we have seen in Austria ever. at least on a 50% race, obviously. So he's done quite well there. Mr. Raut on 21 lap old hards as well. He'll have to pit sometime soon. So let's just hope that he does pit sometime soon, because those tires will definitely be screaming to be taken off of that car, because they definitely will be worn way past around 50-60%.
Yeah, definitely. And as we discussed, those hard tires don't look like the best ones. So I would suggest we get those hard tires moved or changed as quickly as possible. As we see Sandeep definitely, go on to those mediums now. All eyes lie on Sandeep as he has to build a gap, and not an influencer gets the move down on there as he enters the pits itself. And now we're gonna see not an influencer chase Destroyer Track, who's just 9 seconds ahead of him, which is not a good situation for Destroyer Track considering he still has a pit stop left. As we're on board slower red, and again it's a fight. Oh, that's very close between slower red and the AlphaTauri of Mr. Raut, as slower red gets DRS, gets the move done easily, but again Mr. Raut will have another chance down towards turn 3 as he gets an opportunity with DRS, gets very closer to slowy red.
Quite a bit of DRS as well on him.
Yeah, definitely, and has the optimum pace, gets the outside line, but unfortunately unable to maintain his car. I think his tires are gone at this stage.
Actually gone deep as well. Yeah, those tires are definitely red. He will have to pit preferably at the end of this lap. Mink, in the meanwhile, taking on the other car here at the same corner and actually succeeds going up into P13. Asus Scoop does have the DRS, but I don't think it's going to be too much avail because of Mink's much fresher and faster medium tires.
Yeah, definitely. I think Mink got the best out of that exchange, but yeah, Destroyer Track coming out of the pits. He's gonna be behind Ritesh. That's quite a pit stop that he had there. I think he still has the better exchange. Yes. Okay, this makes sense because Destroyer Track actually had made a pit stop towards the mid of the pack. I think when the safety car came out, so he could go back out again on mediums. That's quite a good position he is in, considering he's the only one who's on mediums right now against Swagger and Ritesh. As we see Mohan go for a move on the inside and he loses it. Did he have contact?
I believe, yeah. He went for a dive bomb, and of course just broke a little bit too late, and because of that went straight into the other car, and that's of course damage to someone.
Yeah, Ben. Definitely, this is something I didn't catch up on, considering Drac pitted there in the safety car itself. Quite a brilliant strategy, don't you think, for getting P2 itself, considering how good those mediums are.
Yeah, well, Destroyer Track definitely has a lot of pace on him. And what of course does help him is the fact that he's extremely close to Ritesh, extremely close to the top 3. Luckily, the top 3 all don't have any sort of 3-second time penalty. But someone will have to settle for a P4 here, and clearly Destroyer Track is not the one who does want to go for any settlements today, as he's hunting down Ritesh and he's already gained a few tenths on Ritesh, and this does put a lot of pressure on Ritesh, considering that he is not anywhere close to Swagger Turbo. And if he does end up fighting Destroyer Track, that means that Sandeep will also get involved into the fight, because he's very close, and that could mean he might have to settle for a P5 at the end of the day, at least on track, which of course is not something that he's looking for. So yeah, it's going to be quite a bit of a tough challenge for him going up against Destroyer Track, as he picks up a 30-second time penalty. And every time I speak about some driver, something always goes wrong. So Commentator's curse is in full effect today.
Yeah. Start speaking about your main guy, not an influencer. Can we just see how great he is at dominating this race? Not an influencer, definitely dominating.
But Destroyer Track is about to be dominant towards Ritesh as he goes down the inside with the DRS. What has happened? They have crashed out. Destroyer Track, safety car. I'm out of words as to what's happened there. Destroyer Track was on the inside. He had contact with Ritesh somehow, and Ritesh goes out fine, even though he was on the outside, but Destroyer Track retires from this race. And there's a safety car now.
Yeah, that that was quite. I think that was a very aggressive from Destroyer Track. I think he had the position, but he tried to squeeze just Ritesh, and he lost it there. Yikes! That's not going to be good. And that means that maybe not an influencer can risk it, go for a pit stop, and come out still ahead of Sandeep Marudu. Yep, he's definitely doing that. Come on,
Yeah, I mean,
commentators
it just
first.
makes sense to pit right now
Had
for
to
everyone to
stop.
go on to softs and yeah, go until the end of the race for that. Ritesh. 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Ah, only 2 laps ago I was saying good things, and now he's just been cursed heavily.
Well, guess who went for the 3 stop there? Sorry, 2 stop. Fuck. And as we see softs being used finally in the race itself, looks like that safety car from track definitely helped these soft tires to come out. And yep, I think it's going to be a very, very aggressive fight for all of these drivers, as none of them are going to leave any stones unturned for this last few laps. Everyone is going to go for every single lunge they can as the safety car neutralizes the race effectively.
Absolutely. Right now, Swagger Turbo, I think he's disconnected, but so far he has shown quite a bit of performance, quite a bit of pace as well. So he's looking quite solid. Does have contention to be in top 3, but I'm not aware of his penalty situation. But if he does have the pace and if he does join back in time, yeah, he will be sorted. Uday on mediums, Sandeep leading the race also on mediums. Quite a few drivers have pit for softs. Very few of them have pit for mediums. As E-Dog goes into the pits as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, dog is gonna go on to those softs. It's quite suicidal to stay on hards if you are still in this race at this stage.
Absolutely. Either the mediums or the softs. The softs, again, a very risky strategy. So maybe the mediums could work out. Perhaps. I was about to say Parthojan, but then I realized he has a time penalty himself. So maybe not him. I can't say Sandeep either because he has quite a bit of penalties. Uday has a decent shot at it, but he is on much older tires. So we'll have to see. Hopefully, there'll be a great battle for the lead between multiple drivers. I do see up until P7 from P1 in solid contention of winning this race. So let's hope that we do actually get to see that. That is, if Swagger Turbo comes back, because if not, then it'll be up until P6 because he will be the P7th guy.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would love to see some non-DRS overtakes here. And I think with the softs in hands, I think people are definitely going to go for some risky moves. It will be fun. It will be chaotic. It will be a mess, but it will be racing for these tier 3 boys.
Absolutely. They will have to now bring all of their focus, all of their attention on to the restart. And I think Lane Sipper's disconnected car is taking his own little bit of a sweet time to come in. So yeah.
In another lap behind the safety car itself, because that car rejoined very late.
Yep. It's going to be one more lap under the safety car. The soft runners will absolutely take it. The medium runners, of course, getting frustrated because that means their advantage is going away slower and slower, being put into the hands of the soft runners because now they're just going to have much less worn out tires thanks to the safety car.
Considering the people like, Sandeep and I think their advantage was lesser, and now it's sort of vanished at this stage. I think one of the few that could maybe get an advantage could be Pathogen, but then I think it's going to be very difficult now at this stage. Those softs look to be the main tire to be on at this stage.
Soft does, yeah, I agree. Softs definitely in solid contention to help anyone reach the top 3. Currently, provisionally, if you look at just the soft runners, Influencers P1 in terms of the soft runners again. Swagger Turbo P2 and Mohan P3. Ritesh is right there as well, but remember he does have a 3-second time penalty. Safety car will be going in this lap. Actually, I take back what I said about Swagger because he's still disconnected. Surprisingly, I think his electricity is gone or his Wi-Fi is cut out somehow. That's why he's not joined back still. So Ritesh is in provisional P3, which does mean that he will have to do a lot more work to get there because of his unfortunate 3-second time penalty, which I keep bringing up, but I can't help bring it up because it is there. Never mind, he has 8 seconds worth of penalties, so that's done for him. Sandeep has 9
What?
seconds.
What?
And what is going on back here?
What is happening?
I have
Is that
no
me?
idea. I think some AI cars messed up the whole grid. I think Lane Sipper's disconnected car has, messed
It's
up,
Mr.
and
Raut, it's Mr.
the
Raut.
leaders have restarted. The leaders have restarted. Let's quickly go back to the leaders, please. Thank you so much. Not an influencer. Sandeep did seem to have gotten a pretty good start here, but of course, influencer with his soft tires just hunting each and every 10th down onto Sandeep Maridu, as we only have about 6 laps remaining in this race. Ritesh getting passed by Mohan, although Ritesh now has the slipstream. He's using a bit of his ERS, just enough to go side by side with him, has the inside line, makes a beautiful move going through turn 4. Now, Slowy Red, who's actually gone very close to Mohan. Ritesh, of course, will still be losing out on multiple positions thanks to these guys not having penalties and sticking really close to him. So he'll have to do whatever he can to lose out as little positions as possible. Not an influencer getting closer and closer to Sandeep. Swagger Turbo getting closer and closer to Uday. Not an influencer has the inside line going into turn 1. DR is still not enabled, is ahead with those softs and has gone past Ferrari 2 and Ferrari P3. Currently, Mr. Roth picking up a 3-second time penalty as well. Sandeep is trying to fight this out, but influencer just seems to have a lot more straight line compared to Sandeep. Now, Swagger Turbo getting really close to Uday's car. They're both of them lucky enough to not have any damage coming out of that or even spinning out, as a matter of fact. But it is definitely hindering the both of them as Sandeep gets to see another sector without any car in his mirrors, and just as I say that, Uday has caught up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Uday is definitely doing a good job catching up to Sandeep. He just needs to go for a move right now. As Swagger Pro, again, another driver getting restless on the softs, trying to get the move done as quickly as possible, knowing he's fighting against 2 medium runners. He knows that he's got more pace. He just needs to make that one corner count.
And not to forget that Sandeep does have a 9-second time penalty, so realistically this fight here is for P2. What he can do is perhaps see if Uday can get past Sandeep. If not, he will have to get past Uday, as he's got a beautiful corner out of turn 1. It's just the whole corner, he pretty much nailed it. Got a very good run out of it as well. On the outside going into turn 3, still managing to stick around and not going for the switchback, and still keeping it on the outside, and will again be the outside for turn 4. Uday with the inside line, barely keeping up with Swagger Turbo here. Swagger flies past Uday. Now next up is Sandeep, Uday's teammate. Question is, how quickly can he get past Sandeep, because it's getting more and more crucial for him to do so. If not, Uday catches right back up.
Yeah, and it's getting very close for these 3 boys at the start, at the top there, because look at that gap, 0.5, 0.6. That's too close to come for these drivers, and you can see they're definitely, Swagger definitely pushing it, even exceeding track limits at this stage, and non-influencer pushing the limits of the fastest lap as he goes at 106. And we see another car in the wall, Contented Mink. That's very sad for the Alpine, as he's in the wall. I wonder if he's got damage. I believe he might. And Parthian definitely MP7 getting a good outcome here.
Yeah, with the 3-second time penalty, he's looking at a solid P7 position to finish in. Yeah, Yeah, P7 because Ritesh is 8 seconds and then E-Dog doesn't have a penalty. So yeah, around a P7 finishes what he's looking for, which is still a solid bag of points for him considering how unfortunate of a season he's had. Just hasn't had the luck throughout. As Ace Scoop is closing in onto Mohan. Now Mohan with the DRS as well. Ace Scoop dumping his battery, going for a very half-hearted move there, and luckily gets backs off from it because that could have ended up in a bit of a disaster in itself. As Swagger Turbo is closing in, just 3 tenths separate Sandeep and Swagger. Swagger, of course, will not be making a move going into turn one. Does not make sense to do so. He is quite a smart driver himself. Breaks a little too early, in my opinion. And that has definitely hindered his exit. As you can see, Sandeep gets an amazing exit out of turn one, and Swagger nowhere close.
Yeah, I mean, Sandeep definitely losing some time out on the exits of those corners, and that penalty is not helping him as well. As Slowy did all over the back of Uday, and now has the move done down towards turn four, gets the P4 position from Uday. Again, that's not perfect for this driver as such because again, Sandeep is counting on Uday to bring the pressure to Swagger and not lose a position to the Aston Martin as Billy Butcher gets closer and closer to the Williams, I believe, Williams of Edog.
Parthogen, the Red Bull of Parthogen. Close enough.
Perfect, and yeah, and one or two thing simply coming down towards these two corners.
Are you passing out? Are you good? Because you don't seem alright.
No, I mean I'm just not really at this stage. A little busy, what I would say.
Yeah, I
All
can
right, great
take
to
over
hear.
for him, haphazard. Oh,
Oh, that's Parthogen with an
that's
amazing
it.
send, but
Almost.
he's overcooked it. Or he's made it stick. He's made it stick. That's a pretty good move from Parthogen or Mamukadli. He's had multiple name changes now, just like AlphaTauri or Renault, whatever. But yeah, Ritesh now P7 is gonna fall back a lot more positions with his 8 seconds time penalty. Swagger Turbo still has not gone past Sandeep Marido on track, but I don't think he really has to push that much because of course Sandeep's 9 second time penalty is gonna guarantee him a P2, and yeah, and actually Sandeep has closed in onto Influencer, but I don't think it's gonna be enough as we do begin the final lap. So I think it's still gonna be a win for Influencer unless he does make a mistake somewhere.
Yeah, of course. We've probably reached the point where the softs are slowly dying. As you can see, look at the gap though. As has influencer paused this game. Looks like his AI is taken over, and even Swagger is slowing down considerably. He was within a second, and now he's dropped out of that DRS pocket. I think Marido's now, if only he did have those 9 seconds, I'd actually be rooting for him, but then he's
Yep.
not been able to keep it within the track limits, as I completely missed out on this overtake. I think Billy Butcher probably went for an attempt, but couldn't make it stick.
Yeah.
But anyway, the not an influencer going across the final corner and makes it across the line with his dying soft tires to finish P1 in this in round 12 of season 10 in Austria, as Sandeep Marido drops like a stone in the ocean to P5, just behind his teammate, almost 5 seconds. Swagger Turbo takes P2, Slowy Red takes P3. Quite a decent comeback drive for Slowy Red, considering all the
Absolutely.
things that happened to him.
Definitely, and we couldn't get to see the other results. But yeah, very interesting race to say the least.
Yeah, especially that safety car in lap 20, 26, 27. Quite a perplexing incident. What happened between Ritesh and Destroyer Drag. Although I haven't seen any sort of retaliation in our Discord just yet. Oh, quite a nice dance being put on by not an influencer. Quite characteristic of that win. He could deserve to
Yep.
celebrate it that way. As he put out the pace, and he stamped his authority out in track to finish P1.
Absolutely, a very dominant drive from Influencer throughout the season, pulling off a great strategy as well. Medium, he went on those mediums for so long. It's actually crazy, but yeah, pulling off a great strategy, showing amazing pace once again, and picking up no time penalties. One of the most crucial things in this race, considering how close Swagger and the rest of the grid got towards the end of it. But yeah, decent result from pretty much everyone, and of course Swagger Turbo back on the podium after so much frustration, so much uh, despair, because in the middle of the season, when things weren't going really right for him, he did mention quite a few times that he might actually call this season out early, but clearly it has paid out for him to stay and keep on racing until the end, because he has finally finished on the podium, and I'm pretty sure he'll be extremely delighted to do so.
Yes, indeed. I mean, not just other the incidents that he's had with other drivers throughout the season, but the game itself. Players are pretty fed up at this point. But anyway, more on that later. Let's just go through the final results. Not an influencer takes P1 with the fastest lap, of course. Almost, I think, the only driver in the 106s, in fact, in spite of many drivers pitting for softs in the end. Swagger Turbo 2.4 seconds behind him, finishes P2, although P3 on track. Slowy Red finishes P3 in their Aston Martin to take away a crucial points for the constructors fight, although I'm not sure if he's a reserve or a permanent driver. P4 and 5 for the Ferrari boys, P6 for Red Bull and Pathogen, and P7 for Williams, a V-Dog. Yeah, P7 in real life, P7 in the game as well. Yeah,
Nice coincidence.
coincidence indeed.
All right, and our drivers are here.
Oh, quite surprising. Yeah, I actually expected, for them to stay for a while there. Anyway.
All right, then let's quickly go on to our interviews. Moving on to our P3 finisher, Slowy Red. A very solid race from you, and you have actually shown quite a bit of consistent performance throughout the season yourself. So, how do you want to sum up this very chaotic yet a very successful race from you?
I mean, P2 was for a grab. I mean, I was aiming for P2 because Influencer was really fast. Could not keep up with him, but safety car saved me after the spin. If you saw that.
Yeah.
I got an understeer and oversteer for some reason. Lost it. So I was like aiming for points, but safety cars helped me get the podium at least, which is good. And I had the pace, but just could not get P2, man.
Yeah, I mean, still a pretty valiant effort for you to end up on the podium, and proving once again why you are definitely capable of a permanent seat. Very well done.
Thank you.
Moving on to our P2 finisher, Swagger Turbo, uh, in the Mercedes. After that qualifying debacle with your teammate, did it put a bit of did it put a bit of bit of a pressure on you, because your teammate pretty much retired, or rather got disqualified in the qualifying because of your AI car taking its sweet on time to come out, and yeah, how did it affect your teamwork today?
Well, it was a complete roller coaster for us because obviously in the quali we saw that there was a lot of issues with the game itself. It was not letting us go out on track, and yeah, a lot of people got impeded because of that. But yeah, overall it was actually a pretty decent race. I had a heart attack when my PC just shut down in between, but thankfully because of the safety car I was able to come back. And yeah, it's like towards the end as well, I knew that I would have been able to overtake Sandeep there, but then when I was pushing, I was like on 2 warnings already, so I was like, you know what, the guy behind is pretty far. Let's just take things slow, not get a 3-second penalty, and yeah, just get the podium for the team.
Fair enough. I'm guessing that's why you slowed down in the last few laps once you did clear the other driver in P3. I can't remember who it was. I
was
believe it
Uday.
was
That was Uday.
Red. Yeah. Oh, Uday?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Uday was in front because he didn't pit. So as soon as I overtook him, I was just like, okay, let's just get the car home. Let's not get a 3-second penalty.
Yeah.
And huge shout out to Ritesh because during the mid stint when
Yeah.
there was no safety cars and stuff, both of us were in the VC. Even though we are in different teams, we were just talking to each other about strategies, and we were literally making a DRS train, trying to pull each other forward. And yeah, overall, like because of him, I would say I was able to get P2 today. And yeah, it's like influencer was just so way too quick to get close to.
Yeah, fair enough. But still, again, a very good effort from you, and finally back on the podium. I guess all of that frustration that you had earlier on this season might have gone down a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't have any incident. No one hit me from the back, so yeah, all good.
Ah, yeah. Well, fair enough. But yeah, congratulations. Moving on to a race winner, not an influencer. That was once again a pretty dominant performance from you, a really good performance as well. And one more thing that we do need to add is the fact that Destroyer Track, your opponent who, both of you were fighting for the World Drivers' Championship. Although it's not settled just yet, it will be settled next week because from what I'm getting, he won't be attending the next few races, which would mean that you will secure the WDC. So it's pretty much one hand on the trophy. So how are you feeling about all of this?
Thank you, Simply. Thank you for your words, and congrats to Red and Swagato on the podium. I mean, I feel pretty good. Yes, the championship is very close to me. Although I will miss Destroyer Track in the last two races, I was hoping we take it to Kota. But overall, it's a good feeling. It was a good weekend for me. I was worried about the track limits, and in fact, the soft tire call also worked out in the end. So all in all, it was a good weekend and a good season so far. But anyway, I think I started at the back of the grid in Brazil and Kota just to get the fun of it. But yes, it was
Yeah.
a fun fight with everyone.
Fair enough. It's been an amazing season from you and an amazing race as well in Austria. No pressure, although you were in the mid pack, for a bit. Of course, thanks to the safety car and you pitting a bit later and carrying those mediums out for quite a while, but still finishing up on the top step of the podium. So congratulations once again.
Thank you so much.
All right then. Unfortunately, that is it for tonight. But fear not, the racing action is not over. As you did see yesterday, we had an amazing race in ACC. We have an amazing race coming up tomorrow. Two races, as a matter of fact. Tier 2 at 2:30 p.m. and Tier 1 at 8 p.m. IST. It's going to be really fun to watch both of them go out, as Tier 2 has its own set of battles going on, its own set of dramas going on, and so does Tier 1. So do make sure to tune in for that tomorrow. Of course, subscribe and turn on notifications. All of our social media handles are on your screen, as well as the Discord server link. They're also in the description, so if you do want to go ahead and give us a follow for any updates regarding the season or the server, then do make sure to, of course, follow us on there. Or if you do want to take part in any of these races yourself, or if you're just a motorsport enthusiast who loves talking about motorsports and watching any form of motorsports, then do make sure, of course, join our server. Of course, the catch being you have to be Indian, kind of goes in the name. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. This has been IRC, Sir SSG Assassin, Haphazard, and Simply YT. Thank you so much for watching tonight, especially us going this far late into the night as well. Quite a bit unusual, but thank you for sticking out. Make sure to stay hydrated, and we will catch you guys next week. Bye bye.
Max Verstappen.